we have one of India's top grandmasters, Vidit Gujrathi, on our screen. He is playing for the Triveni Continental Kings, and his opponent, the ultra creative Richard Rapport, playing for the Fyers American Gambits. Now, Vidit in this tournament has been very solid. He has had draws against Pragnananda and Dominguez. Meanwhile, Richard Rapport has had a draw with Dominguez and a loss to Mamedyarov. It's going to be an interesting clash between these two teams and these two players. Vidit, as always, meditating before his game. Rapport gets ready and the arbiter comes in, starts the clock. It's 20 minutes per side with 2 seconds increment only after move 40. Vidit plays d4. Now for many this encounter is a clash of styles because Vidit so solid, so classical. Rapport meanwhile loves to play offbeat stuff. c4, and there you can see the offbeatness has already begun. c5, d5, we have the Benoni setup with g6 played. And I think this is Richard's way of telling Vidit that I'm going to take you out from your well-known territory. e4 played. Bishop comes to g7. And Vidit, of course, is better here. He brings his bishop out to d3. Pawn to d6 played. And generally you go knight f3, knight c3, you castle. He goes out with his knight. And what does Richie do here? He takes on d5, and taking both ways is good. E pawn, c pawn, both are quite good. Vidit decides to take with the e pawn, which is sometimes more difficult to deal with than the c pawn for black. Queen check, and now Vidit comes back with his bishop. Essentially the queen on e7 does look a bit misplaced, but knight h6, what a move here by Rapport. White castles, black also castles. Where is this knight heading to? f5 to d4, maybe that's the idea. Now let's see what Vidit does. He goes bishop g5. He attacks the queen here on e7. If the queen moves, he wants to go queen d2. That's the reason why f6 is played, hitting the bishop. The bishop comes back to d2. A very interesting solution by Vidit. He wants to put the bishop on c3 and the other knight to d2. And now the knight goes to f7. Look at this structure. It may look ugly, but if black gets f5 and knight e5, he would be doing quite well. Vidit brings his rook to e1, staring opposite the black queen. Knight goes to d7. Both of the black knights can actually jump to the e5 square. And what's Vidit's next idea going to be? He doesn't have any good discoveries here. He goes back with bishop to f1. Knight jumps in to e5. And now bishop c3. This is not a good idea by Vidit because bishop g4 pinning the knight is going to be very dangerous. Although Vidit has prepared knight d2 after it, but it's not very cool. And what does he do? Oh, he's about to push his pawn to f5 here. That's what I thought. But now plays bishop g4, an excellent move by Richard Rapport. Vidit quickly brings his knight to d2, defending his knight on f3. And f5, opening up the position. The problem is the queen can't move because I can take twice on f3 and spoil the structure. h3 played, and it would make a lot of sense to keep the bishop on h5 under this pin. He does play it. The best move here should be bishop e2, and I think Vidit will go for it. He plays it. Bishop e2, breaking the pin. Now trying to trade off pieces. A draw would be a very good result, but knight takes f3. Bishop takes f3, sorry. Good move here. And Vidit takes back with the knight. And Rapport now goes rook a e8. He centralizes the rook. And Vidit now plays knight to h2. Well, the idea seems to be to play f4 followed by moving the bishop away. And so Rapport goes in queen h4. He's now looking at the f2 square and also has stopped the move f4. The bishop comes back to f1. Now maybe knight g5, maybe f4. He goes f4. Excellent move. The attack is slowly building up. f3 might be on the cards here. Each of black's pieces is working beautifully. Vidit needs to find a way to play calmly, maybe rook b1, b3, but it's not easy when your opponent is attacking at you. He goes b4. That's not a great move because now knight to g5 coming in would be very strong. Can Richard play it? And I mean, playing f3 would be terrible. It weakens all the dark squares here in the position. And Rapport tries to zone in here. Finds it. Knight g5. Excellent move. And guys, don't forget, there could be potential sacrifices on the h3 square also coming. B takes c5. But isn't that too slow now? Time to push f3 as well. That should be a good move. Pushes f3. C takes d6. And now Rapport takes on g2. He takes fg2. Bishop takes on g2. And Vidit is unhappy with his position because rook comes in to f2. Now the only way to stop the bleeding is to take here and play queen g4. I mean, that's defensible position after that. But he goes d7 and that's a huge mistake. And look at Richard Rapport. He has a big move at his disposal. He can play queen g3, allowing white to take the rook with a check, make a queen. And that too, he has to block the check, but it's still winning. Richard has to be bold enough to be able to find the move. Look at him, he's getting excited. And he plays queen g3, a lovely move, letting Vidit queen with a check and gets up from the board. Truly an artistic move. Vidit takes on e8, makes a queen. That's 14 points up for white in one move. When have you seen that? Actually 13, because you made your queen and pawn into a queen. Queen takes f8, king takes, but there's just no way to stop queen g2 mate in this position. And the knights are so strong here. Vidit tries to think of a way to get out, but his time is also running down. He resigns. Richard Rapport makes a great aesthetic victory here. I mean, when was the last time you sacrificed your rook, allowed your opponent to make a queen, and then let him also get that with a check? Well, that happens only in very few games, and Richard Rapport should be proud of what he has created here for his team and for himself.